So one thing's for sure. If I hadn't fled to Vermont, I'd probably be dead. Not from the cancer. I mean, from the cancer, but not organically. Like in New York, they kept locking me up in the damn psych ward. So everywhere else, the police or doctors would have had to kill me themselves. The community, save for a couple of people, would not have jumped in to help Epstein's lobby kill me. However, only in New York could I get some semblance of an independent investigation. So, coming to Vermont, at least I found there were people here who would assist the New York independent investigation. If it's that independent, Maureen Comey may be running the whole thing. Just because Trump fired her, she's still an officer of the court who was part of that ongoing criminal investigation. She could be called as a witness by a special prosecutor, which I think once they get a Democrat president or Thomas Massey or whoever, they're probably going to give her her job back. And, whatever. But only in Vermont did we have the overwhelming evidence against the Epstein allied oligarchs and uniparty, because there were so many people, the entire community of Vermonters were anxious to jump in and help kill me. I mean, gang stalking, masturbating around my tent, firing shots at me out in the park, impersonating progressive law enforcement and oversight officials. Jesus Christ. Unleashing a biological weapon via your own wildlife that's popular on YouTube. Murdering a popular animal rights and autism advocate named Michaela Raines. You murdered 4 Vermonters. So, I mean, we wouldn't have had all that if I was in any other state. You know why? Because the community wouldn't have jumped in to help Epstein's lobby. You know why? Because they don't like having to work for them. Vermont not only loves getting to work for these fuckers because everything's corporate here. There's very little here that isn't tied to Wall Street. There's a lot of places on Church Street that are tied to Wall Street, and a lot of places that aren't, but they're still doing the fact that they rent a space from the Pomerleaus. That means they're contracted with them. And the fact that they act like elitist douchebags, blaming the lack of their the drop in business to their stores on the homeless is like, you can't make that shit up. And the level of brutality against homeless people here is just insane. Unless you're a white dude. The white guys always get plenty of money. There's plenty of white dudes to look out for those white dudes. The rest of us are just screwed. Literally getting raped. By the community, by the police, by their parks people, by their CSOs, whatever the hell they're called. Burlington City Hall janitors. And his English is just fine. He was getting instructions on how to lock the bathroom in City Hall Park from a guy who was a white American, and not once did he ever say, no habla español, or whatever. Not once did he ever act like he couldn't understand the instructions that that American English speaking person was saying. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. Yeah, I have to put up with some of the most outrageous abuses and weaponry here in the state of Vermont, but it also gives us overwhelming evidence, especially when Virginia G. Piper and Muriel Weinberger chose to stalk me in fucking person. So I'm very grateful for Vermont being the fucking shithole that it is. Because if it weren't such a fucking Zionist shithole, we wouldn't have all the overwhelming evidence that it's unsafe for, you know, not just me, but the victims who were tied to Epstein personally, or other victims of people who were tied to Epstein. Which my ex, I don't know that he ever knew Epstein in person or not, but he was their fucking lawyer. He was contracted with the DNC and DOJ. He worked for Kotmala's brother-in-law, Tony West. So, involved in scams with convicted fraudster Rick Scott. So it's all one big cabal, whether the left hand knows what the right hand's doing or not. And they don't have to know. They don't, as long as they're all acting in sync to protect and hoard the wealth and maintain their slave operations, they don't have to actually pick up the phone and go, yeah, dude, we gotta do this, they already know what they gotta do. Especially since they're criminals that have been doing this criminal shit for decades. Centuries, actually. It's instinctive for them. They don't have to pick up the phone. And in fact, I believe there's even a New York statute that says the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing. There doesn't have to be direct communication. As long as, the conspiracy, it's a criminal enterprise. They know what they're doing. So there's that. I just wanted to point that out. Yeah, Vermont's a shithole, but that's actually a huge blessing, because all the crap that I've endured and the 4 murders that's happened here, plus the 5th one of Michaela Raines, that's actually going to benefit everybody who was victimized by this whole cabal. And the fact that Vermont is just getting off on being a part of it, that's their problem. That's some shit they got to deal with. It's very much like Israel. Israelis are cheering on the genocide in Palestine. They're going to have to pay for what they've done. They're going to have to be held accountable. Vermonters are cheering on the shit that these Israeli Mossad shitbags are doing to me and killing other people. Just because a small percentage of Vermonters did enough of what was needed to keep me going and keep me alive doesn't buy a pass for all the motherfuckers. And they had to do so on the DL so they didn't fucking get killed. That wouldn't have been the case anywhere else. They wouldn't have had to do shit on the DL, so they didn't have to worry about their neighbors setting their house on fire, or slicing their tire, or coming after them for helping a whistleblower. It's by far the most volatile, hostile, bougie, elitist state I've ever been in. There's no sense of community here. None. There's cliques. It's very cliquey. That's not the same as having a sense of community and connection. That's really the best way I can put it. Anybody who truly supports progress here is an outsider, and they catch hell for it. You're a communist or a socialist or a Marxist or whatever the fuck they hurl out of their mouths. Oh, or an anti-Semite.